Janice, were you referring to sort of affective changes? So is that what you're after about how one measures those types of things?
Well, I guess professional dispositions can mean a range of things, and they certainly do include things, affective behaviour. I mean, things like interpersonal skills, confidence and communication, capacity to understand the other's point of view, all those different things are relevant to life.
So I guess that means you're about setting assessment tasks that would actually be able to measure that. Because I suppose one of the issues there is what's your baseline, and do you actually allow students to measure their own baseline and then do it in a formative way to say whether they've changed, or whether it's in a summative way that you're trying to do that, in which case I guess you need some sort of independent measure of the baseline from which you're starting there.
Yes, I mean, I have experimented, not recently, but a couple of years ago, with a way of measuring their sort of self-confidence, the degree to which they could effectively go into what they measure at the beginning of the semester and the end of the semester, but it doesn't form part of the actual assessment. It just gives them and me an idea of how they feel they've changed over the semester. It doesn't relate to assessment.
I can see Ursula's hand, but I'll just jump in very quickly and say, in some ways, Janice, that was almost part of what Shirley was addressing in the second example we talked about here, because I was really focusing on that interaction with the child, but there were also opportunities where the students reflected on their communications with the parents and with the people who they worked with in the prac environment, if you like. And so that's where, I guess, depending on which areas you're looking at, whether it's ethics or whether it's communication skills. My comments before about Bloom, about Biggs, about the solo taxonomy, I don't know whether you've come across that before, but that's certainly how, at Macquarie, we have developed a series. We have standards-based assessment as part of our assessment policy that came in a year or so ago. And it's based on Biggs' solo taxonomy to really encourage the students to reflect on how it's on their learning journey, but it's also whether they're successfully, it's a critically reflective approach, if you like, where they've integrated some of the learning, some of the reading, some of the theoretical frameworks that would have been part of the unit. So I think if I'm understanding, that's the kind of thing, and it's really the same. People often ask about the problems with assessing discussion forums. I think it's quite exciting if we give the students the opportunities to reflect on what they've done and then think about how that relates to what the readings are that they've done around those areas, for instance. And that's certainly what Shirley does. She encourages that scholarly approach, if you like, of relating their comments rather than just reflecting at a superficial level, relating their comments back to the frameworks and the theories that they've talked about as part of the program. I'll hand over to you now. Sorry for keeping you waiting.
Well, that's fine. I was just thinking along those lines and thinking that once you've involved the students in it like that, and I'm really all for that, but then the kinds of things they come up with can also then be used as a basis for the descriptors of the kinds of things that realize, if you like, the criteria. So the criterion about, say, teamwork or about communication and so on. What is it that we actually see the students doing or hear the students doing that constitutes really good communication? And when that's described in terms of what is able to be seen and measured, then that gives a good guideline to the students again, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. It sort of shows them they're involved in the process a little bit more. Yes, that's a great point.
Something else? I had another.
Yeah, sure.
I had another question there. In terms of talking about teamwork is, well, just simply suggesting to students that they engage in teamwork is one way, but in order to scaffold it a bit more, I was just thinking a starting point for that would really have to be a bit of a discussion again on what constitutes good teamwork, wouldn't it?
That is very true. And one of the things that Debbie found was that she had to set aside some time in her seminars. I mentioned she hardly has any time with the students, but she allocated time to go through a lot of the sort of theory behind group work, if you like. And she showed students lots of resources they could use whenever they were out in their workplace or wherever they were to help them along that journey. So, and I think that's often the challenge that we have when people want to introduce group work because they think it's important for students to work in teams. But neither the academic nor the students really know too much about it. So everyone's kind of blundering along in the dark, whereas the more we provide that scaffolding, the less stressful it can be for the students. I mean, we have these, as part of our Foundations in Learning and Teaching program, we always have panels of students coming in and talking about what they like and what they don't like about the teaching context at Macquarie. And quite often, here we are, we've got these bright, new, enthusiastic young academics, and the panel of students sits there and, you know, half of them will say, just don't do any group work. We hate group work. And you're kind of sitting there thinking, oh no, please don't say that. But often it's because when you unpack it a little bit more, it's because it hasn't been handled very well. So for instance, they've gone through their whole degree without even talking to anyone else in an assessment context and being told that if they do it, it'll be called cheating or plagiarism. And then they have some massive high-stakes task in their final unit where they've still had loads of content to deal with and they've had no support in working out how to work in a team or very often how to do the types of assessment tasks that are required. So the typical example is they've always had multiple choice quizzes and having to write essays, and then they get to the last unit and they've got to do some massive report of an authentic task in a group. And I mean, no wonder they suffer from, I guess you'd call it, extraneous cognitive load, you know, just too much to do without enough scaffolding along the way. So if we can help build that in so that it's not such a shock at the end, we might get less resistance.
Absolutely, and I think that that's what the whole point is about the graduate attributes. They need to be taught all the way along the line, don't they?
Yes, that's very true. That's my, you know, teaching as a subversive art. I like to try and introduce, under the guise of these capstone units, people taking a more programmed approach to things like GradCap. Any other comments? You do definitely deserve a medal for being able to, we've sort of down to the last 5. So well done, people who've managed. It's good. I really enjoyed the discussion, so I hope you have too.
Okay, Margot, I might let people go if they wish, the ones who are left, and just to say thank you very much, Margot, for presenting today. I thought that was really interesting, and it certainly generated a lot of discussion, and it's given us some more references as well, and given us a few things to follow up on. So thank you very much, and thanks to Janice and Ursula for hanging on there right to the end, and thanks to the others for participating as well. So bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. So thanks for the opportunity.